fourth speaker. Let me just confirm if he's available. Ryan, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Ryan, welcome. So to all the audience, Ryan Buder is from API3, a project that has a different proposal to, let's see, the oracles, right? The oracle need in the DeFi world of having, off-chain data inside DeFi protocols. So, Ryan, if you could explain that better than me, it would be great for the audience.
Sure, thank you, thank you. That was a great explanation. We are an Oracle, so API3 is an Oracle. The thing that you probably, if you've heard of us before or seen anything by us, the thing that you'll probably see is the keyword first party Oracle. So the thing about API3 is that we're leading the effort, and this is sort of an industry trend that we're kind of driving forward, which is toward Oracle's going from being third-party providers, third-party middlemen, to being first-party oracles, where the data owner or data provider is able to provide the Oracle feed or the Oracle service directly on chain without going through a third party. So I'm Ryan with API3. I'm going to talk. I want to tell you about two products that we have available. Both of which are going to be available on RSK. One of them is already available on RSK, and if you're interested in using it, we can actually make that available to you now. But that one is just the one I'm going to briefly touch on, and then the one I want to spend most of the time on is Beacons, our new product that we're planning to launch on RSK very soon. So the first one is what we do. It's simply connect APIs to blockchains or APIs to smart contracts. And what we've identified, and the main motivation behind this is when it comes down to it, data from oracles, pretty much in all practicalities, it always comes from some web API. So the oracle's getting data from a web API and putting it on chain. And with API3, we've built infrastructure that makes it super easy and simple and efficient for API providers, like the reputable API providers that you have heard of and have off-chain reputations and have like thriving businesses, to just serve their data directly on chain without going through a third-party oracle. So we have one product which we call Web3 APIs, which is simply enabling your smart contract to make an API request and then get a response back in the future. So it's like the equivalent of calling an API on Web2. You make a request, you probably have to wait until the next block to get a response, and you get that back and do something with it. And that is useful for a lot of new use cases that maybe aren't as established in DeFi or in blockchain smart contracts in general. But as we all know, the main thing people use oracles for today is data feeds that continuously updated values, usually price feeds that are being put on chain by the oracle in data feed form. And so that's the product I'm going to talk about today. And we're launching a new data feed product at ETH Denver coming up in a few weeks called Beacons, which is a version of data feeds where you have the API provider just putting the data directly on chain from a single source. And so I'm going to kind of walk through that. And it's not I wouldn't view it as like this is the end all be all replacement for all data feeds. What beacons are really useful for are enabling new use cases because they're incredibly scalable, they're incredibly cost efficient, and they increase transparency. So let me pop up a slide here, a few slides, and I'll tell you about that. All right, let's see. Share. Okay, so Beacons by API3. Beacons are the product that we're launching in just a few weeks. What are beacons? Well, beacons are data feeds. They allow smart contract developers to connect web applications or Web3 applications, smart contracts to continuously updated streams of off-chain data. I think everybody on this call knows what data feeds are, so I'm going to blow through that. What are beacons uniquely useful for? So what's different about beacons is that they are very lightweight, efficient, and scalable lightweight, efficient, and scalable versions of data feeds that are operated by the API provider themselves. So imagine this is just an example, but imagine you have a stock exchange. Rather than a real world stock exchange, not a traditional world stock exchange, rather than having some third-party oracle get the data from the stock exchange and then do something with it and then put it on the blockchain. You would have the stock exchange actually run the node. We call it the air node, is the software, but you, as a consumer, you don't have to worry about that. But the air node is run directly by the API provider, the data owner, and fed directly on chain. So it's source operated. And then the most important thing about beacons that's different from what you get from most current oracles today is that we emphasize transparency. So the fact that the API provider, the data owner, is running the node and feeding the data directly on chain, you know exactly where the data has come from as the data has come from as the smart contract developer. And so you're able to judge the quality of the data. You're able to be more selective about which data you're pulling into your application. And depending on transparency is really the key. And when we talk about like, why would you consider doing a beacon, a single source, a single API source data feed, when you could also consider doing a decentralized third-party data feed? This is the best explanation is when you're talking about third-party oracles, you're forced to make a trade-off between two not ideal situations. So one trade-off, and that's the picture on the left, is you can have your smart contract directly connecting to multiple oracles, and then each of those oracles is going back to the API source, and you've sort of decentralized the oracles that way. The good thing about this, of course, is that you're decentralized at the node layer, but the bad things about this are it can be quite expensive. And of course, then the aggregation contract, the aggregation itself is still centralized. So I guess that's really the main thing, is decentralization is usually what we strive for, but you want to do it intelligently. You want to decentralize when it actually provides a benefit, a real benefit, a meaningful benefit, and not just blindly decentralize for the sake of decentralization. The alternative, the other trade-off you can make, is you can have the smart contract, you can have the off-chain aggregation happen in multiple third-party Oracle nodes. And then, of course, what you're reducing cost, you're doing the work outside of the blockchain, but you are then, of course, trusting the Oracle network. So you're centralized on a single Oracle, even though it's multiple nodes, and you still have to trust the middleman Oracle network, and you still have middleman costs that are involved in everything. So I think anytime we're dealing with these engineering trade-offs, you have to decide what's most appropriate for your use case. But that's where we come to beacons, which are a more simple, more efficient architecture, not appropriate for every use case, but appropriate for quite a few use cases. And in fact, enable a lot of use cases that might be preventing dApps from existing today because they can't get, or they don't have access to data feeds from the existing providers. Is the beacon, which you have the smart contract, which is connected directly to the air node, and the air node and the API provider are one and the same. So you are getting data from a single source on Web 2, but you know who you're getting it from, and the reputation of that API provider is then something that you can use in your decision making, in your smart contract, and deciding who you're going to depend on. So with the increased transparency, it enables you to know more about where your data is coming from, rather than having to trust an opaque middleman and then make the decision of whether that makes sense for your smart contract yourself. What the benefits that you get from this, they're clearly more cost efficient. You don't have more nodes that you have to run in the middle. You don't have resellers that are trying to make a profit margin in between. Performance wise, you're obviously capable of scaling up to higher performance situations when you don't have as many nodes in a distributed network to deal with. And then, of course, what I like to point out is scaling down. When you're dealing with a price feed or a data feed, or I'm sorry, when your smart contract needs a price feed or a data feed that isn't available by traditional Oracle providers, there's much lower startup cost and much lower barrier to entry to get a data feed up and running with a beacon than with a traditional, or with an existing decentralized Oracle network solution. So if you're struggling to get access to a data feed that you need, then beacons might be the solution for you, is really what it comes down to. This product, Beacons, is launching. It's planned to launch on multiple networks in Q1 2022. We had actually hoped to have RSK launched in Q1 also, but from what I'm hearing from the technical team, it's more likely that that's going to be a little bit later, so sometime in early Q2. But I'm not the person who gets to make that decision, so all I can do is tell you what I know. But yeah, Ethereum, Polygon, Binance Smart Chain, Arbitrum, and RSK is certainly one of our top priorities. We really want to make beacons available on RSK. We know that there are applications that are looking for data feeds, and we love to be your Oracle provider. So please, definitely reach out to us. I guess that's what this slide's all about. If you need a beacon, if you need a data feed, all that we have to do, so we're actually initially launching with an API provider called Amber Data, who you may have heard of. Amber Data provides a lot of the price data, the crypto price data into blockchain applications today. Very established, very reputable, very proven API provider, and actually provides like aggregation behind the API. So with Amber Data, you're actually getting aggregated data, even though it's coming from one API provider. Amber Data is the first beacon that beacons from Amber Data are the first beacons that we plan on launching. But that being said, if you need something, if you need a price feed and the API provider and you know that there's an API or some entity on Web2 who's able to make that price feed available, an exchange that you know of or that you have a relationship, it's pretty easy for us to set up a beacon for you that would then take that data and feed it and create a price feed for you at a relatively low cost. So it's pretty exciting in my opinion. So that's all I have about beacons, and I'll pass it back to you. But then I will stick around if you have any questions that you'd like answered. Let me know, and I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ryan. Looking forward to know more about API3 on RSK on next quarter, you said, right? Q2 of this year, probably. So yeah, very keen to know about that.
If I get my way, it'll be day one. But yeah, that's I'm a big fan of RSK, so I'm doing everything I can to, of course, obviously there are many platforms that are looking to have additional data feeds, and so there's a competition of who can we integrate with first. That being said, we have already integrated with RSK, like the Web3 APIs, the ones where not a data feed, but where your smart contract makes a request and then gets a response back. That's already available. So if that's something that your application could benefit from today, talk to us and we can get you set up on that now. But that being said, we can with data feeds, which is really what everybody seems to be asking for. It's probably looking like beginning of Q2.
Great. If somebody wants to get in contact with API3, which is the email, should they follow you on social media? Should they reach out to you directly? How should they be contacting you?
However you like. We do have a general contact at API3 email address that goes to the right people, who like our business development people or people who are there to assist for that. You're always welcome to email me. I'm just Ryan at api3.org. But you might get better service if you go to the contact at api3.org. You can also get on our Discord. You can also, reach out to us however you like, or through RSK. We talk to the people at IOV pretty frequently, and we're happy to, work with you through there if you're already comfortable with them.
Perfect, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are getting to the end of this ecosystem call. Thank you for all the speakers, for all the projects. All of them are very interesting. So I'm going to go quickly through the questions to see if I didn't miss any question of the audience. So I do know there was one specifically for Fernando Atib. So Fernando, if you are there, they're asking what's the adoption of your project? Like, what's the next steps for your project?
Great. So we've just launched the NFTs in our ecosystem. We should be production today, actually. Today we're going to update all of our applications, and you're going to be able to download it and be able to generate your NFT. Right now we are launching this in Mexico, then we are going through LATAM, and then we want to go to the world, right? We built something that is geo agnostic in that sense, but we are just starting in certain type of phases: Mexico, Latin America, and then the rest of the world.
Okay, Fernando, thank you so much for your answer. Very keen to know more about TIP in the future. When it gets to my country, I am in Colombia, so looking forward.
Colombia,
Yeah.
of course. Thank you, Ali.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us during this edition, the first one of the year of the RSK Ecosystem Call. Looking forward to see you all in our next edition on February. And again, thank you so much for all our amazing speakers. I remember we had Tip Health, we had Ramp Network, Fireblocks, and we also had API3 here in the call. If you want to contact them, feel free to reach out to them through their social network, also in the emails that were posted here in the deck that we are showing, or you can contact us and our BizDev team will help you to get in contact with these projects. Okay, so I think this is goodbye for now. Thank you for joining.